Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Life for Shaeeda Sween and Bilal Shaeeda was starting to settle into a new rhythm in the quiet of early spring, when the winds of Kansas City swirled the air with uncertainty and the skies appeared to hang a bit lower than normal. A rhythm determined not by cameras or societal expectations, but by the gentle breaths of their newborn boy, Ayaan. A miracle they originally weren't sure they would ever be blessed with. For fans of 90 Day Fiancé, Shaeeda and Bilal's love story has always been one rich with intricacy. Hope served as the foundation of their path, doubt tried it. A yoga teacher from Trinidad, she glows with compassion, faith, and aspirations of parenthood. A real estate investor from Missouri, he was careful, private, and formed by a past he wasn't always ready to revisit. They had experienced their fair share of challenges: prenups, fertility talks, family doubt, and the growing pains of learning to love in one another's spheres. But the day Ayaan was born, all of that vanished into the background. Though little, he was flawless, delicate but strong. From the first time they held him, both Shaeeda and Bilal knew that nothing in the world would ever matter more than this little soul clutched between them. He became their prayer answered, their goal. Then arrived the night that altered everything. It began quietly. Ayaan had been irritable throughout the day, his normally quiet attitude giving way to regular screams that pulled at Shaeeda's instincts like faraway thunder on a quiet sea. Though not concerning, his skin felt heated. He was eating, though less than normal. Like any new mother, Shaeeda told herself it was nothing. Babies have bad days. But as night fell and the light faded from the sky, Ayaan's forehead grew hotter, and his cries changed from gentle whimpers to frantic wails. Fever gripped him, so by midnight his little body was soaked in sweat, and his chest was rising and falling quickly. His breathing was hoarse and heavy. Shaeeda's heart started to rush. Raised on trust, on the conviction that Allah tests those he loves, but in that moment, the poems she recited provided little peace. She was seeing her kid suffer, which was a fear no Bible could alleviate. Though outwardly composed, Bilal was coming apart inside. Holding Ayaan, he whispered comforting words that contradicted his heart's dread. Nothing in all his years in business, parenting his elder children, negotiating contracts, or going through divorce had ever ready him for the powerlessness he now experienced. Logic could not help him to solve this. He had to endure this. Wrapped Ayaan in cozy blankets, they drove through the rain-drenched Kansas City streets, the interior of the car silent with dread. Hospitals are usually chilly in the way they make you feel, sterile, fluorescent, pulsing with lives in transition. But that night, the pediatric emergency wing felt particularly harsh. As nurses monitored his vitals, Shaeeda held her kid closer. He was running over 102. He was breathing heavily. He was obviously battling something, but what? Doctors conducted testing. Blood tests, X-rays of the chest, panels of viruses. Though Shaeeda could detect the little haste in their speed, they moved with practiced calm. One hand around her son's sock-covered feet, and the other holding her husband's, she sat still. Hours slipped by in a blur of medical terminology and quiet prayers. Whispering surahs under her breath, Shaeeda rested her head against the wall of the dimly lighted chamber, the known Quran verses anchoring her at a time that seemed absolutely out of control. She did not weep. Not at this time. Tucked inside, behind the fortitude she believed parenting needed, her tears had been concealed. The walls eventually broke when a nurse came in and gently said, "We're going to admit him." She looked to Bilal, who responded with a nod more of a plea than comfort. They were not returning home. Not this evening. Not until their son was safe. Ayaan's fever burned all night. His little, innocent body shook with goosebumps. Whatever the virus was, it had taken hold, and his immune system was fighting a silent battle. Doctors believed a common but serious respiratory virus was to blame. There were still no guarantees. Only time would reveal. And in that hospital room, time went by differently. Shaeeda stayed with him. Except to moisten a handkerchief and lay it softly on his head, she sat for hours without moving. Her hijab a little off, her eyes red with weariness. She seemed not like a reality star but like every mother who has ever seen her child suffer and felt unable to prevent it. Bilal was coming apart inside as well, though he attempted to remain strong, plan family updates, and keep calm for both of them. Every whisper from the corridor, every beep of the monitor, eroded the walls he had so painstakingly constructed around himself throughout the years. He had become accustomed to control. But here there was no one, just dread and trust. Days turned into hours. Doctors verified it was a major viral illness. One of the many that pass among babies, relentless yet usually not fatal. "He's strong," the pediatrician murmured softly. "He will get better. It will take time, though. His body has to rest. He has to battle this." Tears at last running down her face, Shaeeda nodded. Exhaling for what seemed like the first time in days, she felt relief mixed with weariness. Surgery was unnecessary. No diagnosis that would change one's life. But there had been genuine risk, and it was gone. That night, Ayaan slept more quietly. Though he was still feeble, the worst had passed. His fever broke just before morning. His breathing calmed in sleep. His expression softened. Bilal and Shaeeda dared to believe once again for the first time in almost 48 hours. As the first faint rays of dawn light came through the hospital window, Shaeeda softly pressed her forehead against her son's and murmured a duet of thankfulness. One hand on her shoulder, Bilal stood behind her. They were different now, not only as people, not only as a marriage, but as parents who had looked down the unimaginable and emerged the other side. Later that morning, a nurse entered grinning. "He's doing good," she remarked. "We'll keep watching him, but I believe he'll soon return home with you." Then, just like that, the storm started to clear. But something more profound remained. Thinking back on the trip that had brought her here, Shaeeda sat by Ayaan's bed watching him sleep. From Trinidad's beaches to Kansas City's cold streets. From the unknowns of a long-distance relationship to the holy link of motherhood. Her life had shifted in ways she never imagined. Yet in this hospital room, it had never felt more genuine. She considered the fans, the detractors, the strangers who had commented on her life throughout the years, who had challenged her intentions, her fortitude, her value. None of them could witness this time. None of them understood what it meant to be here, to be holding her kid under terror and illness and finally, hope. She remembered the vows she and Bilal had made to one another. Not only the ones said before an imam, but also the quiet ones, such, "I'll be your strength when you feel like breaking, and I'll hold your hand when you're afraid." She came to understand that this was the actual relationship test. Not the television series, not the paperwork or the cultural conflicts. But this, the waiting, the prayers, the tears, the hospital room. Here was where love showed itself. When Ayaan eventually opened his eyes and smiled just little, it seemed as though the world started anew. 2 days later, they went back home. Ayaan still required relaxation. Still coughed gently in his sleep. Still, he was getting better. The house seemed more hallowed, quieter. Even the walls appeared to resonate with thankfulness. Often regarded as the stoic, reserved one, Bilal found himself unexpectedly unguarded. Kissing his son's forehead every hour, monitoring his temperature like clockwork, and speaking softer than he ever had before. Radiating with maternal brightness, Shaeeda went around the home with fresh drive. She had witnessed dread. Now she had witnessed hope. With their closest friends and family, those who had prayed alongside them, who had waited for news, who had held space for their suffering, they softly revealed their journey. Eventually, too, they became more open to their followers. A message. Several images. A loving, grateful caption. Shaeeda said, "Ayaan is recovering. Every note, every prayer, every second we have been granted to hold him a bit closer makes us thankful. Our light is he. We're simply grateful he's back." There were no major proclamations. No spectacular reveals. Simply honesty. Simply life as it is, messy, delicate, lovely. Shaeeda and Bilal found themselves always altered as the days became weeks and Ayaan's laughter once more filled the atmosphere. Not because they had weathered the storm, but because they had discovered what it meant to stand in it together. At the end of the day, love isn't tested in the sunshine. It is shown in the rain. For Shaeeda and Bilal, the rain has arrived. But the rainbow had as well. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.